Ubisoft is in trouble, guys. I think Assassin's Creed Shadows is officially dead on arrival. This petition, we talked about this petition just a couple weeks ago. There's a change.org petition that was made by Japanese gamers that are absolutely furious with this game. You could see it's over 60,000 signatures and counting. I bet if we refresh it, it'll be even more. Let's see what happens. Let's see what the number goes to as we refresh it. This is not a good sign for Ubisoft, considering that I guess this is their next big money maker to have this much momentum. I think when we first reported it, it wasn't even at 10K signatures. So this thing is heating up, especially in the Japanese community. I had a lot of people actually sending me comments and emails about how they appreciated me sharing this petition from Japan. So you can see an individual by the name of Shimizu Toru made this, and it's all mostly in Japanese, but we could translate it, even though translations kind of get a little whack when it comes to Google translations. But the justification of them asking for it to be canceled is reasonable. So there's other places that are talking about this now. When I covered it, I didn't see too many people covering this story, but you can see petition accuses Ubisoft of insulting Japanese culture and demands the cancellation of Assassin's Creed Shadows. A recently launched petition, which has now been signed by more than 50,000 people, calls on Ubisoft to stop work on Assassin's Creed Shadows immediately. Now, real quick, let's be realistic right here. They're not going to cancel this game, no matter how many signatures have on here. At most, they'll probably take into consideration the Backlash, but this game's coming out in November. There's no way in heck that it's going to be shelved or reworked or any of the stuff that they've taken out. But remember, we saw gameplay footage of combat, and the samurai, Yusuke, who's a black samurai, literally kills Asians, Japanese people to be exact, with hip-hop music playing. This is a Wokie's dream come true. A person of color killing Japanese people, or they like to call Asians white adjacent. For whatever reason, Wokies don't like Asian people, from what I've seen. And it's so wild that there's so much disrespect when it comes to this game, to the point where even the trailers, you saw the story mode trailer, look at the dislikes. We got over 753,000 dislikes compared to only 290K dislikes and counting. And people are upset. You can see in the comment section, the most heroic thing about this trailer is that they left the comments open. And yeah, I completely agree, because if you look at the comments, they are getting buried. If you want Assassin's Creed in Japan, play Ghost of Tsushima. We blend in with the crowd, says the 6'3" black man in the middle of feudal Japan. So yeah, Yusuke, yeah, he was an actual historical figure. But when you think of Assassin's Creed in Japan, you want to have somebody that at least was Japanese, right? I get where they're going with this, but we know why they did it. They wanted to check in a DEI checkbox of a person of color being the game. And what better thing to be woke than to have a black dude in it? And it's not because I hate black people. Somebody tried to come into my chat the other day. Oh, if this character was black, you'd be crying. No, dude, it's ancient feudal Japan, and they're putting racial stereotypes themselves, like hip-hop music, while he's murdering Japanese people. Do you not see like how tone deaf this is, to the point where Japanese gamers themselves are upset? And not only that, there was even stuff like in the other trailer where they had, I guess, like the cherry blossoms blooming in the wrong type of the season. And then there's allegations of them having like a flag from like a cosplay group or some historical society in there, like way out of place. It's like they didn't do their research. Let's translate some of these Japanese articles. So it says, Jonathan, the producer of Ubi, said in an interview with a Japanese magazine, I can't emphasize with Japanese people, so I was looking for a non-Japanese character. Isn't this a racist remark? For example, in the West, if someone says, I can't emphasize with black people, so I was looking for the non-black character. Is that acceptable? So these Japanese people feel disrespected. Definitely disrespected. And back to the article that was talking about this, it's saying that this petition accuses Ubisoft of disrespecting Japanese culture and calls on Ubisoft to cancel the game's release. The petition, which was launched on June 19th, has already collected over 51,000 signatures, over 61 at this point. The points of criticism include the misrepresentation of the role of the samurai, architectural errors, inaccurate costumes, and seating arrangements, as well as the controversial portrayal of Yasuke, the first African samurai. The petition even talks about Asian racism. So, these guys messed up. And this is already on top of all the heat that Ubisoft has been getting that we've covered. You've seen all these weird woke community managers on all of the Discords, especially the ones for like Star Wars Outlaws, where they're just attacking people and banning people that are anti-woke. If you go to all their social media, they literally have stuff about how much they hate white people and how much they hate male gamers and that you can't be racist against white people. They're all lunatics. And then on top of that, the pricing structure for both Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed Shadows and for for Star Wars Outlaws, it's outrageous. And this comes after them saying that we should feel comfortable not owning our games. They want this digital age where they could delist games and we don't own anything. So they're under fire, okay? This doesn't mean that Assassin's Creed and Star Wars won't be good games at all, right? But it's obviously red fucking flags with what we're seeing here, especially in regards to Assassin's Creed Shadows, which, again, here's another article. This one's from Screen Rant. I mean, this is gaining some momentum. Again, when I first talked about it, not many people were mentioned in this petition. And you got to look at all this controversy where even they're getting flamed outrageously in the comment sections of all their videos. So you can see it says the lack of historical accuracy and cultural respect has been a serious issue regarding the upcoming game Assassin's Creed Shadows by game developer Ubisoft. The game is based on Japanese samurai and ignores the fact that samurai were a higher class of warrior class and should have been gokinen or servants of nobles. It then goes on to say that the game is a serious insult to Japanese culture and history, suggesting its creator's intent may be linked to Asian racism, before calling for the game's release to be canceled. Again, the game's not going to be canceled. We can scream, we can shout all we want. The game's not going to be canceled. A petition's not going to shut anything down. We've already seen, for example, we had the Free Stellar Blade movement, which got tons of signatures. Did it change anything with Stellar Blade? No. But the game still was a success because everybody that wanted to support it went out and bought it. So the best thing you can always do, and we always say, vote with your wallet. I'm not going to say this game should be canceled. Again, somebody the other day, the same person came to my chat saying that I was calling for a game to be canceled. I never called for that. I've never said Assassin's Creed Shadows should be canceled. I reported on this petition that was saying it should be canceled. That's a major difference in this. Now, let me see if there's a way that I could translate this entire page. Let's go ahead and do it. There we go. So we are now looking at it with English eyes. And again, you can see they're basically upset with the historical accuracy of this. Now, there was a update right here just a couple days ago. Thanks to everyone who we've surpassed 50,000 signatures. We would also like to thank everyone who has covered this petition on YouTube and in their blogs. We will continue the petition, so continue to basically support it. So it's getting momentum. You can see all these were Japanese gamers, guys. So this isn't just a whole bunch of like weird right-wing MAGA people, all right? This is actual like Japanese people pissed off about this game. All right. So before you start making your narratives that it's, right wing Donald Trump gun holding conservatives, look at who it is. It's actual Japanese players. So right here it says, if it were fiction, I could forgive it, but I absolutely cannot forgive the blatant lies of being faithful to the historical facts and Yasuke was a great black samurai. If we leave it as it is and people believe it to be historical fact, it will lead to the idea that the Japanese hid the fact that black people were such. What a banger fucking point right off the bat. Plus, Ubisoft did go out of their way to say that they chose Yasuke because even though there's not enough known about him, what's known about him is a great origin point for something that they could write. So they've already admitted that they're going to be taking creative liberties on Yusuke and adding stuff, and that there's a surprise in the end of this game that they don't want to spoil with anybody. I'm predicting they're going to make him related to Ezio in some form or fashion, like he's a ancestor of Ezio. Watch, they're going to make Ezio half African American or something at this point, because woke points. You know, we're getting Sweet Baby Inc. and stupid consulting firms constantly coming and trying to make companies get, I guess, their woke points, right? Or else they try to extort them like they did with Black Myth Wukong, which we'll talk about that another time and place. You see, this person says, I was a fan of the Assassin's Creed series, but when it was released, it was a forced push for political correctness for black people and LGBTQ+. Yusuke is depicted as a famous samurai who could bow his head, and this is treated as a historical fact, and they are trying to heroize black people and spread a false history to the world. This false history of Yusuke is thought to be due to the book Nobunaga and Yusuke, the black samurai who survived Honnoji Temple by Thomas Lockley. This false history has already been spread overseas, and the Brazilian embassy in Japan also tweeted a statement that Yusuke is a hero. This is a falsification of history. We cannot ignore it. In addition, looking at the game content and the manufacturer's response, I did not feel any respect for Japan. It's unbearable to watch a black samurai brutally murder Japanese people. I object here. And I could see that. I mean, again, he's murdering Japanese people to hip-hop music. Somewhere in Ubisoft headquarters, they thought that was a good idea. Somebody sat there and said, you know what? Let's approve it. Let's do this. What are they thinking? Is there potential that they could have made this badass? Yes. I mean, I would have even taken Yusuke being a supporting character, like a sidekick or your companion. But no, we have to have diversity filled in here, guys. We have to have it just to have it. Because if it doesn't have it, this game offends the modern audience. Where's this modern audience? I'm looking for it. Like John Travolta. I do this every video when I ask. Where's it at? Like the Pulp Fiction meme. Where's this modern audience? They don't exist. This modern audience is a small percentage of people who get offended if games don't have wokeness in it. And it's fact. They get offended if they don't feel there's enough inclusivity, if they're not represented, if they can't relate to a character. They want characters to be LGBTQ, and they don't care if that character's good. They just want to be sure that it's gay. Why don't you make characters that are good characters based on actual heroic traits or villain traits, and actually develop a plot and a story around them? And then when you do have stuff based on historical stuff, don't embellish off of it. Don't disrespect an actual, country's history. People are pissed, and they have every right. If I was Japanese, I would be twice as mad. I'm not mad about the game now. It's more cringe than anything, which is why I talk about it. But you can see this guy from Japan says, even if the release is forced through, it's better to voice your opposition. If you don't voice your opinion overseas, you're considered to be in favor. It seems that if you voice your opposition as an individual, it's crushed. So if you put it up as a petition, your opinion will remain. So essentially he's saying if you voice it out, usually, by yourself, it'll get lost. They won't ignore it. But petitions is the way to go. You should also voice your opposition in English and French. I think it's also good to make this issue into pictures and comics. So this guy is just tired of it all. It's good to release a game that is free and original. For Japanese people, it's not the skin color that's the problem. So right here, and I'm sure that he shares the same sentiment lots of Japanese people do, myself included, it's not the fact that it's a black guy as the main character. Right? Somebody tried to say I was racist. It's not. It's the fact that it's cringe, it's being purposely done for woke points, and it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful. However, the official version should not say that this game is historical fact. This should not be said, especially in a series that was said to faithfully reproduce history. If it's released, it should be clearly stated that it is fiction in the public relations for overseas and at the top of the game. And they should not change Wikipedia to make it feel good. So he's even bringing attention to how people were editing Yasuke's Wikipedia page, which right off the top of my head, there was a thing going around that Ubisoft was saying Yusuke's LGBTQ in this game. How can you be on a side that would retcon an actual historical figure from thousands of years ago and say, oh, hey, it's cool. It's cool. They're LGBTQ. That didn't exist back then. That's why people hate shit like this. You're shoehorning nonsense and bullcrap. And then you're calling it historical fact. Said, are they going to erase him who was brought to Japan as a slave but lived his life to the fullest in that era? If we allow this to happen, various things will be changed, and it will be thought that we have tolerated unconscious and intentional discrimination against Japanese and Asians. Those who say don't get worked up over just a game will be faced with reality in 5 or 10 years and realize that they didn't mean it that way. It will be too late then. Exactly. Hands fucking down. Right now, you give them an inch, they will take a mile eventually. They'll start changing stuff. They'll start having revisionist history. They'll start plugging in their agendas and history books and agendas everywhere they can. They're already trying to control the narrative. They throw shit fits when you call them out on their stuff. They call us grifters. They call us rage baiters. Literally, these guys don't give a shit that they're offending actual Japanese people. The only people that wokies care about offending are themselves and the LGBTQ community. That's all they care about. They don't care if Japanese people are offended by the thought that there's an actual historical figure that they're basically embellishing on. They're literally making him look like a hero by killing Japanese people to hip-hop music. And they don't expect it to have any kind of backlash. You see all these community managers sticking to their guns, being extra woke. You see actual video games journalists calling people that are speaking out against this grifters. They want to call us the bigots. They want to call us the racists. They want to call us the fascists. Dude, these guys are worse than anything out there. And I'm glad people are speaking up. I'm glad this petition is catching, the attention of people. Not just in Japan, but worldwide. We're starting to see some big websites like Screen Rant cover this. We've seen other YouTube channels cover this. When I covered it, I don't even think it had 1,000 signatures. So I'm happy to see this. Again, nothing's going to probably happen. They're not going to cancel this. And I'm not calling for it to be canceled. Even if your petition really doesn't work, even if it doesn't cancel, if stuff doesn't get changed, it's still good to be able to voice your opinion, guys. You should never just go with it and be like, oh, there's nothing we could change. Speak up with it. If you see something being injected in games that you don't like, speak up with it. You're not a grifter. You're not a weird right-leaning wacko. They want to insult you and call you stupid and fucking morons and crap when you're saying things like, disrespecting Japanese people is wrong, when calling body types, body type 1 and body type 2 instead of male, female is wrong. They want to try to make you stupid. They want to label you as an idiot. They want to say that you're not intellectual when you're far from it. There's no such thing as woke versus anti-woke. It's woke versus normal. All right? The majority of people in the world don't give a fuck about, oh, let's put a fucking black samurai in the game because it'll be diverse. But that's what these guys see. These guys want a virtue signal. They want a moral grandstand. They want to look good. Like, hey, look, we did it, guys. We're unique. We're bringing difference here. When we should just have a real badass game like Ghost of Tsushima. Like, what is wrong with that? Why are Asians white adjacent to these people? So I'm glad this is taking off. If you guys haven't signed this, sign it. Again, it's not going to get the game canceled. Let's be real. But at least it lets people know we're not having it. And, go voice your comments. They have all the comments open on YouTube on all their trailers. It's not just this one. All their trailers related to this are getting downvoted. Downvote. Let them know. Let them know that you can't, as Hallno says, you can't go for that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, guys, what do you guys think? I think this game's going to backfire, and it's going to go on sale quickly. I think, man, I like the Assassin's Creed series. I enjoyed Valhalla the most and Black Flag, and I think 3 was really solid too. But these guys, man, are just making dumb decision after dumb decision just because they want to have DEI because they read handbooks and manuals that their marketing departments full of wokies come up with, and they shove it. And they got to realize that nobody really gives a fuck about that shit.